I'm so at the end of the month of Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and I wanted to make sure that I got Jessica Madukhar on Lunch with Carole because I know, you know what, Jessica, we're so busy, and you are a multimedia reporter and journalist for our station. But there's something else that a lot of people may not know. You are the only individual that is of South Asian descent working on air in the Milwaukee market, and I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so proud to represent and be that face here. Growing up, I never saw anyone that looked like me on TV, and so to be able to now be in that position in Milwaukee is such an honor. Truly, it's never something that I ever take lightly.
And I think, we have to take our jobs very seriously. We see what's going on in the world, Jessica. And we also know that it's very important that we connect with our community, various people, all sections of the community. And you have made a point to really get to know people in the South Asian community. Can you tell me what you have learned by being in Milwaukee? I know you haven't been here that long, but you have gleaned a lot so far.
Absolutely. I mean, I moved here last year in April of 2021, and I didn't really have any expectations to be kind of welcomed in by South Asians here in this market. I really didn't know too much about the culture here in Milwaukee, but very quickly I was embraced by so many incredible people within the AAPI community and even in the South Asian community here. There's a beautiful Sikh community here that has just been
Absolutely.
so welcoming to me. There's just incredible people that are in positions that I would have never imagined. I mean, we have a South Asian on our Milwaukee Public School board. Um, we have people that work for the Bucks that are South Asian. We have people that are contributing to our medical field here in Milwaukee, and so it's just so awesome to see that while we might not be huge or large in number, we're definitely here, we're present, and we're contributing to Milwaukee in a really great way and making our impact.
That's a very important point, and it's a growing segment of our country, 22.9 million or 23 million, depending on the numbers you look at. And it's something that I think we all have to understand the richness and the diversity that all the different people that bring wonderful things to our country and contribute to us. Now, Jessica, tell people who are just joining us for Lunch with Carole a little bit about your background.
Yes, yeah. So I was born and raised in Miami, Florida.
Mhm.
And my parents, they immigrated from India. My dad and mom both come from South India. And so my dad is from a city called Hyderabad, and my mom is from Kerala. And so they met in undergrad in New York, and got married. And then later on, my dad got into grad school in South Florida, and they had every intention of moving back to New York, but once they felt the warm weather, they never went back. And so, I was born and raised in South Florida. And growing up, like I told you, Carol, I never really saw anyone that looked like me on
Yeah.
TV. But I loved watching the news, and my parents loved watching the news. And they were big, just news consumers. The TV was always on, and so it was always kind of just a dream to step into the field of journalism, and be able to tell stories. And since I've been here in Milwaukee, I've been so lucky to be able to share those stories. So it's been just a beautiful full circle moment. From the moment I got here, I was able to share those stories of the South Asian community here in Milwaukee. And it's been my passion ever since. But even just being introduced to so many different parts of the world. I mean, and you know this very well, Carol. Like journalism just truly opens your eyes to stories
Mhm.
of endurance, of positivity, of happiness, of joy, of sadness. And so it's been just really just a blessing to be able to do this.
Yeah, I think we sometimes forget that the humanity of all of us, we're all the same. And there's really, when you get right down to it, very few differences of what we all want in life. So it is a pleasure and a joy. And, Jessica, I know you're only 26 years old, but I know there's a lot of young people just like you who would be interested in learning what it's like or what do I need to know to get into the television news business. And would you like to share that with anybody out there who might be listening to this?
Oh yeah, I like I said, like you said, Carol, like I don't really see anyone else that's my age that's doing this. I would love to see more. But it started in undergrad. I went to um, uh, Florida Atlantic University in South Florida, and I was on the journalism track. But I think it was really through internships. I just started networking, and I really started seeking it out because, like I said, no one around like the South Asian community back home, at least
Mhm.
in South Florida, was doing what we were doing. Everybody was on the track of going into the medical field
Mhm.
or
Right.
engineering. And so I really had to just seek it out. And I was sending cold emails at least every week throughout undergrad to people in the
Smart.
business, asking them, like, hey, how did you get here? What did you do? And, it started off through internships. That led to a writing position at WSVN in Miami, Florida. And that really just, through networking. I think networking is the best way, and talking to
And
people, because you might
persistence. Yes.
network, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And you might network with
Mhm.
people and realize, oh, maybe I don't want to go down that path, or maybe I don't want to go down this path. So, just talking to people. School is incredibly important as well, and just networking and learning, what resources your school can also put you in touch with too. That really helped me as well. So,
Yes.
it's like you said, it's persistence, and really,
And not being afraid of rejection, because let's face it, I still have an entire briefcase of all of the letters that I got rejected from us like 35, 37 years ago.
you
But
know
it was a
what,
good
but it
lesson.
all happens for the better.
It's good, and you learn, you grow, and you become more determined sometimes, I think, and that's very important. And now,
Right.
okay, you were used to the warm weather, you moved to the Midwest. I know you interned in Chicago. What has been the best thing about being in Milwaukee, have you found? Just, I know everybody talks about the weather, and that's something to get used to. How have you been able to adjust to Midwest climates?
Oh, you know what, Carol? I don't play games with the climate. I have a heated jacket.
You're so cute. Oh,
I've, I've invested in a heated jacket. I've invested in heated hand warmers, like the electronic ones.
you are
I've
amazing.
invested in heated gloves. Every photographer at TMJ4 knows that, like, Jess can't be out for more than 10 minutes. I gotta run back into the car, run back out.
That's
Like
so cute.
it I don't play games with the cold. Once my hands go numb, that's it. But you know what? Like, my first market, I was an MMJ in the Bronx. And so
Okay,
that was right.
that's
So,
a big deal.
right. And so the cold isn't that culture shocking to me. I dealt with my first, like, northeastern winter um
Mhm.
in my early 20s, and so I it wasn't that shocking. I will say the winds here are brutal. No one prepared me for that.
It'd be fine
But
sometimes if the wind wasn't around. Then
right,
if you
I
get
was
that
I think
wind
it
chill,
made
it's
so much
over.
more bearable.
But
But
you're doing
the,
such a great job, and to be prepared. That's that's a smart
that's
thing
the
to do.
key. That's what I've learned, to be prepared. But also, like, when I feel like it's the energy that Milwaukee brings. Like, people in the Midwest are so warm and so nice that, this winter, I survived my first Midwestern winter without going through the motions and, oh, this is miserable. Mainly because I was surrounded by people that I truly love. And I think that made all the difference in my attitude and the way I survived winter.
But that's smart. I think everything's about your attitude. And you know what? There's always going to be challenges, but you have to rise to the occasion no matter what it is. And you've done such a fantastic job. And you know what? Being able to see you blossom and get to know the area has been a delight. And you have a lot of fans out there, Jessica.
Oh, thank you, Carol.
You do, and I know you're very humble. And but one of the things that I love about you is your enthusiasm and your excitement. And that's the thing about television news. In the beginning, it is very seductive and fun, and you get to learn so much about so many different things. And it's like a growing. You're just a sponge, and you're just growing and evolving.
Absolutely. And I would not want to be growing anywhere else but Milwaukee. And to be in a newsroom, especially with people like you, Carol, has made it that much more incredible and amazing for me and for my career. So thank you.
Well, we are blessed to have you, and you represent the South Asian community so beautifully, and we're thrilled that you're here to share their stories and all of our stories around here, because we don't discriminate. We look at everybody's lives here at TMJ4. Jessica Madukhar, thank you so much for being a guest on Lunch with Carole. My pleasure. We always love talking to. I enjoy seeing you in the newsroom and talking to you. And thank you for watching us this week. And we hope to see you next week, 12:30, for another person that inspires, motivates, and makes us feel better about where we live. Have a great day.
Thanks, Carole. Bye.
Thank you, Jessica.